Hey guys, welcome back to Geared Forwards. My name's Paul and today we're taking a look at the Trustfire C2. First, a quick disclaimer. This was provided by Trustfire for review, and of course, as a result of that, I did not have to pay for it, so there is a little bit of a disconnect there. However, they did not provide any financial compensation for this review. They had no input into my opinion or the final result of this review, and they did not get any editorial rights or early access to this review either. With that, let's go ahead and jump into the C2. First of all, with a size comparison, and just in case that wasn't clear, this is a camping lantern. So first of all, we'll go with our staples on the channel, a 58mm classic and 91mm for Sarminoff. And then we'll go ahead and, this is going to be fun, this is going to roll everywhere, isn't it? And then we're going to go into a more flashlight relevant comparison of a AAA and AA battery. And you know we got to get that girth comparison. And at this point I would just normally show you an 18650. However, this light does use a 21700, so let's get one of those up as well. And now we just have a whole bunch of stuff that wants to roll around. But everything stands straight and nice and doesn't move when you do the girth comparison. And with that, let's go ahead and take a look at the design overall of this light. As you can see, we just have a large cylinder here with this kind of corrugated plastic diffuser style. Now inside of here we actually have, and I'll turn this on so you can get a better look at that, we actually have hanging down some warm white emitters, and then inside we have some white LEDs that are basically shining down onto a reflector. And we also have some red LEDs inside. That's just a little harder to see because of this corrugation, so just went through that a little bit. On top we have this shackle, which gives us a bit of a carabiner hook mounting point that does have a full 180 degrees of pivot. We have this is the only control on the light. This is both a button and a dial, and you can see here we have plus minus for the brightness. These pads I think are just screw covers. There's no purpose to them for anything that besides that I can see. And on the bottom we have a little bit of a grippy texture, as well as a standard tripod mount, and the tail is magnetic, so you can put this on a metallic surface so it doesn't slip, or put it sideways or hang it from a metallic surface such as the car bonnet or the side of a corrugated building. Around front we have the model number of the light as well as the power indicator, and then behind this flap we have the USB-C charging port and a USB-A out port, because this does also function as a power bank. Yay for flaps. With that, let's go ahead and jump into the Runtimes and Brightness and then the UI. Now this is a little hard to actually give you accurate readings of because this uses a step-plus ramping kind of system. However, when you turn it on, it's always going to come on in a middle mode, and it's always going to have a bottom and a top rate as well. So as low as it goes on the warm white is 2.5 lumens, and on the cold white that is 6 lumens, and the red light that is 2 lumens. And runtime for all of those is 900 and the runtime for the warm white is 266, cold white 220, and red light 330. You can tell that this table is a joy to read. The middle mode, which is what it is on when it first turns on, is going to be 90 lumens at 15 hours for the warm white, 150 lumens for the cold white at 13.2 hours, and 70 lumens for 18.2 hours on the red light. And at the top end, the high mode, warm white's going to give us 300 lumens for 3.8 hours, and I don't believe there's any step down besides battery towards the end. And cool white's going to be 500 lumens for 3.5 hours, or red light for 180 lumens at 4.8 hours. This does also have a red flashing mode and an SOS. Runtimes for those significantly higher, and this is IPX6 water resistant. Now, as far as the UI goes, we only have one control to worry about, and this is this button knob combination up top. Now, if you just press it once, nothing will happen except just showing you how much charge is in here. You have to press and hold it slightly, and that will bring you into warm white first. And then once you have it on, you single press will then cycle through the different colors. So then we press once to cold, red, red flashing. And then once it's off, if you press and hold, no wait, sorry, that's my bad. If you double press, you will then go into SOS mode. Once you are on and in your desired mode, again, you just have this stepless control. So we can go all the way up. And there's a lot of gradation here. It can take quite a bit to go all the way to the top, or you can go all the way to the floor. That is actually on. Let me see if I can show you that a little better. That's how dim you get. However, when you change modes, you will then go back to the middle mode. There's also no mode memory here. This will always come on in that middle mode, no matter what it was previously, or what you were on in terms of brightness or tints previously. In terms of how much it takes to get there, so this is medium, which is about 30%, I believe. And then 1, 2, 3, 3.5, maybe 4 big turns to get it all the way, which isn't that bad, and that stepless adjustment is going to give you a lot of control. Now let's go ahead and jump on into the pros of the C2 camping lantern by Trustfire. And first of all, I have to highlight this guy. So in the box, you're going to get a USB-C charging cable, but you're also going to get this carrying bag, and oh my lord, this is soft. Like, this is really velvety soft and gives you a very good first impression when you open it. Inside you get more of a more standard material, but the idea of this is to just give a little bit of protection to the lantern, stop it bashing into things in a rucksack, and can also help you keep a cable with it as well. You can see also keeps it nice and quiet because you do have this just rattling and making noise, and that's a nice touch. Next up is, this is both a pro and a con, so we'll do the good side first, is the UI. This is very intuitive. Press and hold to turn on. Once you turn on, just press it to get the color you want, and then you just turn up and down to get the brightness you want. That's very straightforward, that's very easy to understand, and if you don't know how to use it, it's pretty intuitive. They've even got the markers to show what direction you need to turn it. That is another great option. Now, another pro is going to be this power bank function. I do like when things can do more than one thing. And whilst I will never really advocate for a lantern or a flashlight to be the only power bank you carry, I do like that it is an option that they can perform. And when you get up into these larger batteries like a 21700 that have a higher capacity, I do like to see that because they can provide a more meaningful charge while still being able to do their job to some degree. Next up, the overall size and compactness of this thing. Again, this is only using a 21700, so it is relatively small inside, but even with all these added emitters, the diffuser, this is still really, really small. Here it is next to a Coke can that's got stuff in, so I gotta be careful not to spill. But it's, you know, taller with the control knob, but roughly the same dimensions of a Coke can. And that's a really big plus for having a nice compact thing, especially if you're only going one bag camping, you just got your backpack on your back, or you just wanted to take something out for hiking, or just wanted to have something even in the glove box of the car. Because this is magnetic, and you do get both the red and the flashing red, this would be great to keep in the car, both for emergencies, and if you break down, you can stick this on your car or put it further down the road, perhaps if you're on a bend, to just alert people to show that you're there. And that's an excellent feature as well in my mind. Next up, the price on this is very reasonable, very fair. This comes in at $49.99, which, considering how well done it is overall, I think that's perfectly fair, but you can also get it much cheaper. For example, if you were to go down to the description, you would see that we have a coupon code for 15% off, currently provided by Trustfire, and that was going to take it down even further. I do think this is worth the money. I think this is well priced, and I think this is very competitive for a lantern. And finally is just the versatility of use. We have a flat base to just stand up, but we also have a little bit of grip so it doesn't slide. It's also magnetic, so you can stick it to things. And then you have the built-in carabiner shackle so that you can hang things, and the movement means that what you clip it on doesn't have to be directly above the light. It's not going to make the light stick out like this. It can still hang appropriately. So that's all of the good. Now let's move on into some of the not so great areas, and some of these are going to be a bit nitpicky. That's just because this is a pretty well-rounded product. I don't really have that much to criticize. So first of all, the shackle, I get it. It should be here. This is a lantern. Being able to hang it from things is important. I don't particularly like that it's just going to flop around and make noise. So I think what I would mostly want is that there was some way of capturing or retaining this, or at the very least, if this kind of like padded gripping material was also on top to kind of silence that. I mean, these pads might be intended to do that on top of the screws. However, they're obviously not attaining that. I would also like the option to remove it entirely. This is kind of just stuck on the side, so I'd prefer if this was like a flathead screw that could be removed. Again, it's a lantern, it should be here, it does what it's meant to do well. I would just like that versatility and being able to stop it noisily doing this. Again, a nitpick. Next up, I believe this is a little bit of a QA manufacturing defect. So I did put this on a tripod multiple times, including the short, and the short is going to be found up here. Anytime I review a flashlight or a lantern, there will be a short for you to go and see, the beam shots, kind of, to see how well it performs in the dark. And what I found across multiple tripods and selfie sticks is basically that there is something wrong with the threading in this particular model. Not the model, but this unit. And I would be able to lock in to a certain degree, however, it wouldn't go all the way to the bottom of the threading, so it would capture the lantern, but it would then kind of rattle side to side, which could potentially damage the tripod or damage the threading and make the lantern fall off. Practically, you could still use it on a tripod, and I really do think that is just a little bit of a defect or a QA issue with this particular unit. However, I do think that is something worth mentioning, as it is something that came up in the process of my review. The UI is also a bit of a double-edged sword. I kind of want there to be mode memory, but I also understand in a stepless design why there isn't. And I think that this could perhaps be remedied by having a UI that you can switch between stepped and stepless. That might be useful. And I can definitely see the usefulness of it coming on at something bright enough to be able to see, but not bright enough to dazzle you. That is definitely useful, but I do kind of want there to be a mode memory. Particularly, it's nice to have separate mode memories for the separate tints and emitters. That's partially going to be personal preference. I do see the upside of the way that they've done it. I would just like to see mode memory, personally. And finally, just aesthetic-wise, kind of looks like a garden light. Like, this corrugated diffuser does its job. I would just kind of prefer a more standard diffuser, kind of like an off-white panel. I just get reminded of like those solar garden lights, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I just think that overall it could look a little bit more premium with a different diffuser, but that's purely looks, and that doesn't really matter. And that's the long and short of it. I mostly have, apart from the manufacturing defect, just nitpicks about this, right? Like, I don't like flaps, but realistically, that's what you're going to get on most things. And as far as this one goes, it's not great, but it's okay to put back in. And overall, this is a fantastic lantern. As we have been getting warmer evenings, and particularly as I like to, be out at night to test flashlights and whatnot, I've been using this more and more, and reaching for it after the evaluation period was done. I do think if you're looking for a lantern, this is a very solid option. It's a very compact option that punches above its relative size and weight, and it's something that I can definitely recommend if it's interesting to you and you like how the UI works. With that said, I hope you enjoyed this. Remember, there is a link to this product as well as a discount code to get 15% off down in the description below. Whilst you're down there, I would appreciate if you could share your thoughts on the C2 and if there are any other Trustfire products you would like me to review. And whilst you're there, I would also like if you give us a like or a subscription to follow the channel. That does greatly help support us, and if you would like to support the channel further, it's not necessary, but it would be appreciated if you'd consider a coffee donation, a Patreon membership, or a YouTube channel membership. But until next time, I've been Paul, and I hope you, yes you, have a good rest of your day.